Today we're looking at some great small towns most of you have never heard of. Did you know one of the most Googled subjects this time of year is relocation or moving? May and June are the biggest months for moving in the United States, so people start prepping now so they're ready for June usually is what it is. More and more of those searches include small towns and small town real estate. Thanks to remote working, more Americans can work from home. No longer are the days where you have to live in the city to be close to your job. This means small towns and working in your underwear or sweats is very popular. This video is in no particular order, and we're looking at small towns that aren't really popular but are still great places to live. At the end of the video, we have a question where you can answer in the comment section that'll help us in future videos. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Strasburg, Virginia. If you're looking for a charming small town with a solid amount of history and plenty of things to do, look no further than Strasburg, Virginia. Nestled in the Shenandoah Valley, Strasburg is a hidden gem that offers visitors a unique blend of old world charm and modern amenities. This is one of those towns where everyone goes to on the weekend, It's just a cute place to live. But the town's history dates way back to the 18th century, and its well-preserved architecture and historic sites are a testament to its rich past. If you just go down Main Street, you can admire all these beautiful old brick buildings. You can visit the Strasburg Museum, and they'll let you know all about this place. But Strasburg is much more than a pretty face. The town offers a whole bunch of activities for visitors of any age. It doesn't matter who you are. The outdoor types can explore the nearby Shenandoah National Park, while people who like to eat, there's pretty good offering of restaurants and cafes. Want to do a little retail therapy? That's pretty good here too. Now that's for the visitor type stuff. This is a great place to live. Low crime rate, housing isn't terribly expensive. They have an annual wine festival and Strasburg Oktoberfest, which yes, I consider those outdoor activities. Whenever I look up one of these small towns, I like to look at what's going on there. I check out the news through Google and see what's happening around the town. And when a majority of the things that they have in the news about the town are obituaries, that's a really good thing. That means nothing terrible is going on, nothing horrible. The last time they had anything major going on there was July of 2023 when a fire erupted after an explosion at the TC Energy pipeline in Strasburg, Virginia. Other than that, it's nothing but obituaries. And all the obituaries start with longtime resident. So why should you move to Strasburg, Virginia? Number 1, it's a cute town. Number 2, it's in a beautiful part of the country. And number 3, they have virtually no crime. The crime rate in Strasburg, Virginia is 60% lower than the national average. And if you want to buy a home there, according to Zillow, during the first quarter of 2024, the average home value was $321,000. That might seem like a lot to some of you, but when it's in a really nice place and a really nice town, that's a really good price. Number 9, Roslyn, New York. Roslyn is a small village on Long Island. I have a friend that's from Long Island, and he said I should start calling it Roslyn just to drive the locals crazy, but it's actually Roslyn. But this is a small little village tucked along Long Island's North Shore. This is a town that blends history, charm, and modern flair perfectly. With nice little streets, you could just stroll along, plenty of boutiques, art galleries, cozy cafes, it's all there for you. It's one of those great places to visit on the weekend, much like Strasburg, but it's an even better place to live. The catch is, can you afford living in Roslyn? Roslyn is expensive. My army buddy that lives on Long Island, he said it's a great place to go visit. You just have to have some money. Lunch is going to set you back $40. And if you want to buy a house there, it's going to set you back a generation or two. If you're a nature lover, you'll appreciate the abundance of parks and green spaces in and around Roslyn. The scenic Hempstead Harbor is just a stone's throw away, offering plenty of things to do on the water, boating, fishing, or simply walking along the shore, staring at the water. If you look at the news right now, they have obituaries and the Girl Scouts got something going on in Roslyn Heights. If you're trying to look for something negative in the news around Roslyn, you gotta go all the way back to January 11th when they were removing contaminated soil from a Roslyn apartment building site. And last summer, they had 4 guys trying to break into a building that were caught on security camera. That's about it. Also, Atlas New World Bistro opened at the Roslyn Hotel. I love news like that. That is one of the first things you should do when you're looking to move to another town, small town, or even a neighborhood. Look at the local news. See what kind of things are being reported on. If you see homeless have broken into the KFC for the 4th time in 3 months, and the local police had to break up a black market Jell-O shot ring, maybe stay away from that neighborhood. The crime rate in Roslyn is 85% lower than the national average. If you want to buy a home here, buckle up. I saw a few that are for about $700,000, $650,000. That's about the cheapest you'll find. But the average home value in Roslyn, New York is $1.3 million. That's first quarter 2024. Number 8, Wall, South Dakota. This one is a suggestion from a longtime subscriber to us, Elle Mannheim. She said her husband was from South Dakota and they always used to stop here before they'd go camping. He said since he was a kid, he always wanted to live here and he doesn't really know why. Anyway, about Wall. If you're road tripping through South Dakota, chances are you've heard whispers of a place called Wall. It's not exactly a bustling metro area, but it's a little town that has a certain amount of charm that's hard to resist. And if you're not in South Dakota, you've probably heard of Wall Drugs, or Wall Drug. This is the principal industry in town. This drugstore, yeah. And it's not just your typical drugstore, it's kind of weird. Anyway, it employs 1/3 of the town. The town of Wall is known by locals as the geographical center of nowhere. The original owner, Ted, was a Nebraska native who opened up the tiny drugstore in Wall in 1931. 5 years later, it was still a tiny drugstore. Dorothy, Ted's wife, thought that the people driving past must be thirsty and suggested that Ted put up a sign on the highway advertising free ice water at Wall Drug. Sounds kind of dumb, right? Ted put up the sign anyway. The story is he was putting up the sign, finishing it up, cleaning up after putting up this sign on the side of the road. By the time he got back to the drugstore, people were lined up for the ice water, and that line hasn't stopped yet. Over 1 million people will stop at Wall Drug every single year. On a good summer day, they'll see over 20,000 visitors to a drugstore. Now, it's not your typical drugstore. They got a whole bunch of stuff there. It's been in Home and Garden magazine and a few other things. Back in the 1960s and 70s, hippies got into their t-shirts that said, "Wall all be drugged and Wall drug or bust." Basically, it's a drugstore that turned into a sideshow or roadside attraction type thing. There isn't much work in Wall, South Dakota, so you probably want to be retired or definitely working from home if you want to move here. It's not a bad place to live. Their crime rate is 3% below the national average. They don't have any traffic, and the average home in Wall goes for about $277,000. Number 7, Thompson Station, Tennessee. Thompson Station is named after the train station built there in the 1800s, and it's been home to people since about the 1700s. The town boasts a thriving community spirit with numerous events and festivals held throughout the year, from the annual Founders Day celebration to the summer concert series. That's kind of a thing in Tennessee. Doesn't matter small town or big city, you're going to find some form of festival or something related to music throughout this state. Everything from a guy making dance music with a computer to a couple dudes with beards making music with a jug and an old school washboard. Like every small town in Tennessee, Thompson Station has plenty of parks and green spaces. They also got the Harpeth River just a short drive away, and that has fishing, kayaking, or just walking around the Tennessee countryside, whatever you want to do. Whether you're a history buff or outdoor enthusiast, this is a great place to call home. If you are a history buff, there was a Civil War battle fought here, and it's now like a preserved park. It's called Preservation Park, actually. If you look at the news, it's not all obituaries. They do have some things going on. Thompson Station middle boys basketball wins state title. A missing teen was found safe. And then a school bus had a crash and no students were injured, so that's a plus. After that, it's nothing but obituaries. The real estate here is a little expensive, and that's because they've had a lot of new homes go up, and the new homes are a little more expensive than I think they need to be here. So it reminds me of what happened up the hill from me. We had some company come in and they built like 8 homes where there used to be 1. They were nice, but they were looking for $750,000 a piece. It's like the developer thought he was in a get-rich-quick scheme. Similar homes in this neighborhood at the time were going for about $400,000. This guy wanted $750,000. Nobody bought them. Nobody bought these things for about 18 months until they lowered it down to about $600,000. Then they sold 2 of the 8. When they got them all the way down to about $525,000, this was like 2 years after they were built, they all got snatched up. But in Thompson Station, they have a bunch of homes that are over $1 million. But if you poke around Zillow, realistically, you could find a home there for about $425,000 to about $650,000. That's a decent home. But here are the stats. If you want to buy a home in Thompson Station, the typical home value here is $702,000, and their crime rate is 76% lower than the national average. Good job! Number 6, Sewickley, Pennsylvania. Sewickley is a cozy little town about 12 miles northwest of Pittsburgh, sitting right on the Ohio River. It's known for being a quiet residential area where a lot of the people who work in Pittsburgh come to live. Nobody wants to live downtown, so they come to this. Basically, it's a suburb. The town itself is pretty small. It's got a little less than 4,000 residents. Sort of known for the Sewickley Bridge. The valley surrounding Big Sewickley Creek was surveyed in 1785 and sold to American Revolutionary War veterans. After the Battle of Fallen Timbers in 1794, settlers began to trickle into the area on float boats, keel boats, and steamboats. And this started a pretty good industry for this area on the Ohio River. In 1837, the Edgeworth Female Seminary was moved from Pittsburgh to where Sewickley is now. At the time, it was called Sewickley Bottom. This place has very little crime, and all of the typical stats you'd look at if you're thinking about moving to a place are outstanding, and it's still affordable. And even the housing is reasonable. I mean, you don't usually find that. Sure, this part of Pennsylvania doesn't have the best weather during the winter, but it's a beautiful place to live, and it is affordable. We're not doing this one in order, but personally, this is my favorite out of all of them. The crime rate in Sewickley is 86% below the national average, and the average home value is about $469,000. Number 5, Davenport, Florida. Nestled between the cities of Lakeland, Florida and Orlando, Davenport is a hidden gem that's starting to make a name for itself. They have a lot of new construction, so I'm not sure how much longer this will be considered a town. But right now it is a charming town that has a surprising number of lakes. Actually, it shouldn't be surprising to anyone that's ever lived in Florida. There's a lake or a pond everywhere. Davenport's a perfect example that it doesn't have to be on the coast to be growing in Florida. Back in 2010, Davenport only had about 3,000 residents, but things have definitely changed. The population skyrocketed to over 10,000 in 2020, and right now they're sitting at about 13,000. Most single-story homes have massive backyards, perfect for barbecues, gardening, or just soaking up some of that Florida sunshine. If you want to move to Davenport, Florida, and you want to buy a house, real estate there, the average home value is about $370,000. And they don't have much crime. It's actually 70% lower than the national average. Number 4, Afton, Wyoming. Sitting in the picturesque Star Valley, Afton, Wyoming is the kind of place where you can wear cowboy boots to the grocery store without raising an eyebrow. Saw this girl in a YouTube video. She said she liked living in Wyoming because she could wear a cute dress and cowboy boots and nobody thinks she's a stripper. Afton is a town where the air is crisp, the views are breathtaking, and the pace of life is, well, a little bit slower than a herd of turtles crossing the highway. If you're looking for a wild nightlife and a stripper and cowboy boots, Afton's not the place for you. This is a very quiet place to live, nice and relaxing. Afton isn't for everyone. If you're addicted to your smartphone, you might find yourself experiencing withdrawal symptoms. It's gotten better, but years ago, when I was talking about Afton on another video, some guy was, I don't know, he's doing a thing on Afton, and he said that the cell service was spotty at best, and Wi-Fi was often considered a luxury, but not a guarantee. I'm sure it's way better by now, especially with SpaceX and all that stuff, Starlink. But Afton is still a great place to unplug, unwind, and reconnect with nature. Afton's the perfect escape for people like that. You could spend your days exploring the great outdoors, breathing in fresh mountain air, and marveling at stars. They're actually there. You got to get away from the city lights, and you'll realize how many frickin' stars there are in the sky. It's amazing. And if you have night vision goggles, put those on and look up someday. Used to do that in the Army all the time. It was so nice. We could actually see the satellites going over. Afton has hardly any crime. It's another place where it's only obituaries. If you want to live there, you can look forward to having a crime rate that's 69% lower than the national average. And if you want to buy a home, you're looking at about $454,000, and just about every home's going to come with plenty of land. You're not going to be on top of each other. I mean, unless you want to be on top of each other. You know, I'm not going to shame anyone for their kink. Number 3, Corbin, Kentucky. Yes, Kentucky makes a list. I'm going to mark that on my calendar because they never make lists, especially when it has anything to do with positivity. But Corbin is tucked away in the heart of southeastern Kentucky. This is a town that's got some quirky charm. Sure, it's known as the birthplace of Kentucky Fried Chicken, but there's so much more to this quirky little town than just its greasy history. And yes, the Colonel Sanders Cafe is still there. I actually knew a girl from Corbin, Christy. She was living in California when I knew her. Actually, we were walking across the street, heading to the beach, and she starts screaming at the guy that drives the street sweeper. I guess he owed her some money or something. It was weird. She's throwing things at the street sweeper. He's trying to get away, but that thing only does like 8 miles an hour with a tailwind. Anyway, Corbin is where Southern hospitality meets Appalachian spirit. You'll find friendly folks rocking on their porches, waving as you drive by, and always ready to strike up a conversation. People in Kentucky, in my experience, are always willing to chat. If you're looking for outdoor adventure, Corbin has plenty of that to offer. The Cumberland Falls State Resort Park is just a short drive away, where you can find the Cumberland Falls. And you're also right there by Daniel Boone National Forest. Yes, he was a real guy, not a Disney character. If you want to move to Corbin, it's a pretty good idea, especially if you want to buy some real estate. The average home value in Corbin, Kentucky is $167,000. Their crime rate is 2% lower than the national average. Number 2, Quincy, California. Quincy, California is not like the rest of California. It's tucked away in the mountains, not too far from Reno, Nevada. It's located in what is known as the American Valley at an elevation of 3,432 feet. It is halfway between Oroville and Reno, Nevada. It's a cute little mountain town. Quincy actually started off as a gold rush town. It was associated with the former Elizabethtown that was there. Starting in 1852, Elizabethtown slowly faded away and Quincy remained. They named it after John Quincy Adams, the 6th president of the United States. If you look at the news there's like 6 obituaries before they finally get to a light 3.4 earthquake in their local news. Then it goes right back to obituaries. I brought up obituaries are really nice to see in the news. That's because you're not seeing anything horrible. Obituaries, yeah, someone died, but come on. It's not really the end of life, it's kind of part of life. World Atlas has Quincy as the 7th most picturesque small town in California's Sierra Nevadas. And it's a pretty good sized mountain range. There's a ton of towns up there. The crime rate in Quincy, California is 44% lower than the national average, and the average home value is $329,000. Not bad. Just got to worry about fire season, that's about it. All right, before we get to number 1, what is your favorite type of small town? Do you like those little New England small towns? Are you into the western small towns? In those Iowa farmland type small towns? What are your favorite type? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Black Mountain, North Carolina. In the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains, you have Black Mountain, North Carolina, a town that's as unique as the name suggests. It's a place where tie-dye shirts and hiking boots coexist harmoniously, where you're just as likely to bump into a banjo player as a yoga instructor or a dude named Rico who really knows how to get things. It's almost a hippie utopia if hippies showered more. In short, this is a haven for free spirits, nature lovers, and anyone who appreciates a healthy dose of quirkiness. Black Mountain's downtown is a pretty cool little place with a lot of art galleries, eclectic shops, and cozy cafes. You can browse handmade pottery, vintage clothing, and local-made jams. Yes, they actually have local-made jams. That's a thing that's big here in Oregon. Not the jams, honey, for some reason. Like Asheville, it's kind of like a place where they have, impromptu drum circles or poetry reading in the park. This is an art town, and if that is your thing, this is a perfect place to live. It was once home to the legendary Black Mountain College. It was an experimental liberal arts college. It was active from 1933 to 1957. That's it. Black Mountain is a beautiful small mountain town, and it's a great place to live. If you want to live there, the average home value is about $472,000, and the crime rate is actually 17% lower than the national average. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.